The 2017-2018 preseason is right around the corner for the women's ACHA hockey teams, but before we get started, we have a couple highlights that we like to have. Guys, today I'm your host, Caroline Morse, and at me with the desk is Mana McKenzie and Patrick Strawn. So guys, we're just going to jump right into it. Patrick, last season the Miami, Ohio team dominated their conference and won Liberty Championship title. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think it was pretty exciting when you were at Nationals because you kind of really saw the championship pedigree of Miami, Ohio really come out. They did a phenomenal job. And what the biggest thing about this team was, it was all about community scoring. They have a lot of big names over the past couple of years that I think a lot of people in the league have become accustomed to. But they weren't even some of the names that really contributed to this success. I mean, the tournament MVP was a girl that wasn't even in the top 5 of their scoring. So that shows the depth and really the strong community play that this team had, and really it just paid off because it showed their championship pedigree.
Yeah, and Monica, obviously this team seems to be doing pretty well. Do you think there needs to be any changes or upcoming obstacles for this team?
An obstacle that I anticipate is going to be, as Pat just said, their top scoring is going to be gone. They're graduating, they're moving on. So the Mooney sisters, Rachel Booth, they're all going to be moving on. So that's definitely going to be an obstacle for them. But I think this team knows how to win. They've been there before. They've won the national championship title numerous times. So they know what to do. I don't think it's going to be a huge obstacle as long as they can get all those freshman girls coming in on board quickly.
Gotcha. And Pat, this team straight up dominated the playoffs last season. What did you see at that game?
Well, I mean, I think you just saw at that game was, like I said, a championship pedigree team. I mean, they've been to 4 straight championships. They were able to win 3 after defeating Liberty, unfortunately. And it was definitely just a good systematic game. I mean, really, they did a phenomenal job. The score's not indicative of how close that game actually was, because it really was a 2-1 game, and they got 2 empty netters. But so at the end, it doesn't matter. The biggest thing for them, Emily Will, she really played phenomenal for them in net and did an excellent job really manning the twine, because she definitely saw a lot of rubber come her way in the first period especially, and she was able to compose herself, stay strong, and then, lead them to a victory.
So do you think this team is still very hot and ready coming into this 2017 season?
I think, you can't say that they're not hot and ready because they are the champs, but I'm going to be honest. I don't think they're going to be the potent powerhouse that we've seen over the last few years. I don't think they're going to look as scared because they got a little chink in that armor. I mean, as Monica just touched on it, they're losing some of their big guns. They're losing some of these girls that were All-Americans. They're bringing in 10 new girls. That's 10 new girls that's going to have to get equipped to the system, going to have to get equipped to the way they play, and even more so, you lost your starting tendy. So I feel like that's going to change that dynamic of this team, and honestly, they're not going to be as dangerous as I think everyone's expecting them to be, as they've been in the past.
You never know. What about our very own Liberty team? How do you think they're going to be heading into the season?
I think they're going to be very hungry, especially after losing the national title, and then more so even, I think they remember the sting of that loss, losing to Miami, and that's a feeling I don't think those girls want to feel ever again.
All right. Well, I know they lost in the championship game the 3rd time in a row to Miami, Ohio. But how do you think they're going to be? How did they do last season?
I think for a whole, I think they did very strongly and did an excellent job. I mean, they got back. They had a lot of freshmen too, and it took a while for that dynamic and for this team to finally build and get things together. And then once they did, it was really a thing of magic. They went on a strong winning streak towards the end, beating some key teams, including Miami, Ohio, here at Liberty. And then, unfortunately, they just ran into that speed bump and hurdle in Miami when it got to the championship game and when it counted, and weren't able to finally get that last win to give them the championship.
I think what sets Miami, Ohio out from other teams is the fact that they know how to win and they have coaching who pushes them and makes them want to win even more. What we saw at Nationals last season was that they weren't happy even though they won at Nationals, they weren't happy with each and every game. They wanted to keep getting better and better, and that's what made them do so well. That's why they got the title, is because even though they were winning games leading up to in the playoffs and leading up to the final game, they were still trying to get better the whole time.
I gotcha. Well, guys, our very own reporter Rhett had a chance to sit down with Miami, Ohio head coach Scott Hicks. Let's take a look.
Thank you, guys. Pleased to be joined by national champion head coach Scott Hicks. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Your ladies have won 3 of the last 4 national championships. Tell me this, when you got these young ladies in as freshmen, did you have a feeling right from the get-go that you were about to go on a special journey with these ladies?
Yeah, we had a feeling that we had a special group. I think we succeeded a little earlier than we thought we would. I thought maybe our sophomore year we might have a better run, but we knew we had a special core group coming in that freshman year, and surely it was a fun ride.
When you went into that national championship game this past spring, was it something you talked about with your team, or was it more just kind of, we knew it was in the background, but we didn't want to mention it, that, hey, we could win 3 of the past 4 national championships?
No, we talked about it. It's something that we didn't want to shy away from. We talked all year about sending our seniors off on a high note, that we had something special that we could accomplish. And so we didn't want to hide from it. It was something we wanted to address head on, and we talked about it often.
When you have a team like this, you've won 2 in a row at one point. What was it like keeping them motivated? Did you ever have any issues with girls maybe taking a night off because you knew you had a really talented club? Or is this just a special group where the work ethic was top-notch and you didn't really have to instill that in them?
No, it's something we battle on a weekly basis. I think when you have a group that's so heavily upperclassmen laden with a lot of juniors and seniors like we did, and a lot of tournament history and success in that tournament, the regular season was a battle for us to keep them motivated, to keep them engaged. They were so focused on the postseason and wanting to accomplish that end goal that it was something we had to address often. And it was a battle that we fought, and we tried our best and to overcome that challenge and had a fairly successful regular season. But once the postseason hit, it was something that clicked for us, and they knew what they had to accomplish.
Now, I'm sure a lot of coaches would like to know your secrets, but one question I'm going to ask you is this. When you have a bunch of first-year girls come into your team, how do you go about getting them, I guess, plugged into your team culture? Because obviously you've got veterans there. They know the deal. They know what happens. But how do you get first-year athletes kind of up to speed with your program?
It's something we instill in them in the recruiting process. We talk about it from the moment we have them on campus, the moment we first call them or meet with them. We don't shy away from it. It's something we address right from the get-go. So when they get here on campus, they know what our culture is all about. They know what we expect of them, and they know what our upperclassmen expect of them. So it's not a shock to them when they get here. So we address that right from the get-go and prepare them before they even get to campus.
Now, you lose some talent from this past graduating class, and you're also a national champion. How big of a target's on your back, and what are your expectations for this season with your group?
Well, I feel like in the last couple of years, we've always had a target on our back, and it's something that we embrace, and it's helped us. I think it keeps us motivated throughout the year, especially in the recruiting process. These kids want to come play at a high level, so it's helped us this year to kind of reload and not rebuild. We got 10 new faces, 8 freshmen. Strong, talented group. It's going to take us some time to get them up to speed and used to playing with each other and whatnot. But these kids have all played at a high level. They know what to expect coming here. And we're excited for a new, fresh start and kind of reload and see.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Monica, back to you.
Coming up, we'll take a look at the preseason rankings, and we also got a chance to sit down with new head coach Chris Lowe. We'll be right back.
Some things become traditions. Thank you for making yours Foster Fuels.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at our preseason rankings. All right, we have number 1 at Liberty, and number 2 is Miami, Ohio University. Number 3 is Adrian, and all the way down at number 9 is Michigan. All right, guys, are you surprised by any of these rankings?
I mean, taking a look at number 7, Grand Valley, I think they should be ranked higher. I don't know who they would bump out of those top few spots, but I think with the goaltender they have, Lauren Allen, she's just phenomenal. She went to represent Team USA in Kazakhstan this year at the World University Games, and the defense that they have, I think they should be ranked higher. They were in the Final Four two years ago. They weren't there last year, so I think that may have contributed to their number 7 ranking, but I think they will be back this year, and I think they should have been bumped up a little bit higher.
I think the rankings are pretty good. I disagree. I think Grand Valley needs to stay where they are. Actually, you know who thinks that needs to be moved up is Minnesota. That team really came out to play. They fought their way into nationals, winning their conference tournament, and that was huge for them. And I actually think they should flip with Michigan State, because if you think about record-wise, you take a look, even you see it on the screen. Michigan State, they're sitting at 12-12-1, while Minnesota had a nice 21-3-3. So, like, I mean, you think about it, and just based off numbers, obviously you got to think that Minnesota, I'm getting tongue-tied here, should be in propel to number 6. And I even think about with the rankings, for the most part, they're where they're at. I mean, obviously, Liberty is, I think, the team to beat. They returned a lot of key people, especially from the championship. Miami's at number 2. And that's kind of been the story the last couple of years, them two rotating. And then also they're tied with Adrian, they had some of the best players in all of the ACHA last year.
But we see Miami in that number 2 spot. Based on what you were just saying about all the new girls coming in and things like that, you said they weren't going to be as scary this year. So do you think that ranking is wrong?
No, I don't think it's wrong. If you look at the rankings, there's 2 2s right there, okay? Miami was 2, and then also Adrian was 2. There was a nice little tie there. I didn't say they were as scary. They're not going to be as scary as I think as they were in the past. They're still going to be a skilled team. They're still going to be talented, but I think there's a little chink in that armor of theirs that we've seen over the last 4 years because of the fact that they've lost some key veterans, and more importantly, they lost their starting goaltender who's really been paving the way for this team and led them to the 2 straight titles. That's what I think it is. And one team in Adrian, they got Allison Dungy, who was first-team All-American. That girl, she's going to be the key cog for that team and really leading them, along with Hardy and some of their other key All-Americans that they returned from this past season.
Well, obviously, we are very happy with Liberty being number 1, of course. But also, do you think there's any teams that shouldn't be on the list, Pat?
I don't think there's any teams that shouldn't be on the list, but I think even looking at some of the teams that didn't even crack into the top, 8 that didn't make it, you look at Rhode Island, they had 18 wins, and also Colorado had 18 wins. Those are some key teams, and they also had some key name players. Like you look at Rhode Island, Darby and Bolotowski, they both all had over 40 points, so they were key cogs for them. And then even Colorado with MacArthur and also Kathleen Ash, who was second-team All-American. These are some girls that have really been paving the way for this Buffs team. And so you got to believe that they're potentially going to crack in and then maybe even also crack their way finally into the national tournament.
Well, Monica, you're also very strong about the Miami, Ohio team, returning some of their players, but not all of them. Do you think they should be moved down, or are you happy with where they are?
I mean, okay, give them the number 2 ranking because they are national champions, so they do have that pedigree, that expectation to be right back up there. But I think as the season goes on, I mean, the good thing about women's hockey and what we saw last season is there's so many teams jumping up into that number 1 and 2 spot. They flip-flop all season long. That's what makes hockey so exciting, especially in the women's league. And so I think Miami, should they be number 2 right now? Yeah, they were national champs, so they do deserve that. But I think as the season goes on, I mean, I can't predict what's going to happen. As I said, they should be good. They have that reputation. So I don't know. Will they go down? Yeah. Will Liberty go down? Yeah. It's always changing and alternating. That's the beauty of women's hockey here in the ACHA.
And Pat, what did you think? You're pretty happy with them being at number 2?
I think they should be. I mean, actually, arguably, you could say that they should be number 1 because they are the defending champs, and I'll give them that credit. They should be number 1. Don't look at me like that.
Why should
But hold on. I'm saying more so they should be number 1 because they're the defending national champs. I'm not saying Liberty shouldn't because Liberty's returning a strong pedigree. But, I mean, you look at some of the other teams that are returning some key players, like Lindenwood Belleville, started going through their list, and I got past 12 returners, and I was like, they're returning everybody, it looks like, from this 4-year program. So you could argue that they should be higher, and everyone's going to say, well, I should be higher, I should be this, but you know what I mean? Everyone can't be happy. But, I mean, Miami are the defending champs, so if they were number 1, I think it's arguably pretty solid that, yeah, they should. And Liberty, they're going to show why they're not only number 1, but I think they're going to propel themselves and keep that top spot. And Chris Lowe's and also the coaching staff they have with Fourth, Kerr, and also in Carlson now, they're going to show why this team should be number 1.
See, and that was my next question, was that the fact that Liberty lost to Miami, Ohio. I was more concerned, why didn't they flip it or anything?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, they did lose to Miami, Ohio, and some people would say, like, oh, well, Miami should be on top. But, I mean, I think they're looking more at the weight of who's coming back and who left. Because, Monica, you've been touching on it. I don't know if that Miami lost a lot of people. But let me ask you, Monica, should they be number one? I mean, you're pretty high on
Liberty
Miami
or Miami?
Miami. You're pretty high on Miami.
I think Liberty should be number one just because of the things we've talked about, how Miami is losing a lot of returners. So I do believe the rankings are fair as they are with Liberty in the number one spot. I'm not playing favorites. I just think it's how it should be with the fact that there's so many girls returning for Liberty and then bringing on the head coach, Chris Lowe. He does have a lot of experience coaching men's D2 here at Liberty. He's been to that national championship game 2 years in a row. I think this is the year he gets it done with these girls because they have experience playing in the championship game, and now with the coaching and that experience, I think it's just a perfect pair.
Sounds good. All right. Well, also with the preseason rankings is the fact that we have different opinions about them too. Are you happy with where everyone else is also?
I thought ACHA, and I think seeing them tied for number 2 is actually pretty good for them because obviously they had the most All-Americans last season, and they also are returning the most All-Americans, especially headlined, as I said, by Hardy and Dungy. I think those guys are going to be huge, especially Jessica Harrison on the back end for defense. This team's going to be really strong as far as not only from their front line, but even to the back end and then also in net. So I think they're solid. And then, as I said, you go down the list. Most of them are pretty solid. There's only a couple that I think changed, which we both touched on earlier.
I think the most important part is who's returning to give you that experience in playing the Final Four, playing in the playoffs and things like that. I think in a league like this where there is high turnover, it's only a 4-year program for most colleges, it comes down to experience and also coaching who has the experience getting to that national championship game.
And I think also, we touched on it earlier, last year there were 5 different number 1s. And I think that's something we're going to see again this year. I don't know if Liberty's going to be able to maintain that list with so many championship pedigrees and so many experience coming back for all the different teams.
All right, and Monica also had a chance to sit down with new head coach Chris Lowe. Let's take a look at what they had to talk about.
Joining me now is head coach Chris Lowe. So everybody's curious, not only did you switch from D2 to D1, but to D1 women. So why the change?
Good question. It's something that I don't think, certainly wasn't on my radar as we ended season last year. The retiring of Coach Bloomfield was at least news to me. So it kind of started the conversation, and I was intrigued. It was a tough decision to leave my guys in a program I was really proud of what we've accomplished and the group of guys we had. But I think it's just a good time for a new challenge, new opportunity.
Talking about that strong resume you have, you took your D2 team to nationals the past 2 seasons. So how do you plan to carry on that success as a coach to your women now?
Well, I think that's the challenge. I feel like this is almost like my first year coaching again. It's been a long time since I've had such a large group that were all new to me, and I was new to them. So trying to come in and build on the culture that was there, but ultimately get to where I would like it to be, and the other coaching staff as well. That's the biggest challenge in implementing systems to 24 players instead of your 3 or 4 freshmen that you had with returning players. So I think that's been the biggest adjustment so far.
As you've done some research about the league, what teams do you expect to present some challenges for you this season?
Well, I think it begins and ends with Miami. I mean, they've been on a pretty dominant run here the past few years, and that's hard to do. I mean, clearly they have talent, but to win in the national tournament consistently is hard in those, especially when you get in those single elimination games. I mean, that not only takes a lot of talent, but good coaching, and I mean, you got to get some breaks and get some bounces and just kind of have everything go your way. So I think everyone's going to be looking at them with a big target. And then after them, there's lots of teams, I think, like ourselves that hope to be in the hunt and hope to present a challenge for Miami. And I got to see a lot of the games at Nationals last year. And I mean, any team there could do some damage on the right day, and I think has an opportunity. So your first goal is to put yourself in a spot to make it to Nationals and then build from there.
Yeah, and this women's team, they're right there last season. Do you think this is the year they take it?
I hope so. That's certainly our big goal as far as on ice for this year. And it's such a long process, though. I mean, we're in the start of September here, and that's a long way off in March. So it's just a long process and journey that you go on as a team, and especially a new team with new coaching staff and some turnover. So that's just part of enjoying the process now, enjoying we're in the second week of September, just grinding it out in practice and implementing the things we want to do.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck this season.
Absolutely. Thank you, Monica.
Well, this is exciting. The D2 coach moved up to D1. Guys, what do you guys think about this coaching change?
Yeah, so I've had the chance to work with Chris Lowe for the past few years when he's been coaching D2 men, and I think he's just a great all-around guy, really great coach, really enthusiastic, and that's something I've noticed seeing him around the rink as he's coaching these women is every time I see him, he's always running to practice, always super excited, always really happy, and he just has a lot of enthusiasm, which I think is what he brings to the team and makes players want to be there, which is obviously important. Yeah, he has great pedigree coaching the men's D2 team, getting them to the national championship final for the past 2 years, as I said, so I really like the change. I think he's going to bring a lot to the women's program here at Liberty.
And Pat, what do you think?
I think it's not just about what he's going to bring to the table, but I think even with the coaching staff he already has, like keeping them having some familiarity with already the team, that's going to help with being reestablishing and adding him into it. But also, as Monica said, and yeah, he's all excited about running around the ring, but I think it's more important what he's gotten done on the ice. And when you look at it, he's been to 4 straight championships and the national championship in D2. He's been to 2 title games. I think that all is huge. He's been a finalist twice for the Coach of the Year at D2, and obviously if one puck bounced the other way, he probably would have been the Coach of the Year because he would have a championship with his Division II team. So I think this is huge for them, and I think the girls are all excited. They all talked about it, and they were excited about adding him to the behind the bench and be the new bench boss, and also even the assistant coach in Fourth and Kerr, who were on the team last year, they're excited as well as having Lowe's and also Coach Carlson added to the staff.
Well, yeah, even I'm excited. I think it's really cool that he's jumping from the D2 men to now Division I women. So that'll actually be really exciting to see this upcoming season. But coming up, we'll take a look at players to watch and also the growth for this upcoming season. We'll be right back.
We the people. We are innovators, dreamers, leaders. Yeah, we feel pain. We get tired, but it won't stop us. God's call is our pursuit, and we will champion His name.
Welcome back, everybody, to our preseason show for the women's ACHA hockey team. Guys, this entire growth is insane this upcoming season. What have you guys seen in the past season?
Yeah, so this upcoming year they're adding 2 schools. Aquinas College is coming up from D2, and then Arizona State and Grand Canyon. That's not typically a hockey market, but they're also joining the D1 squads. And so I think it's just really great that they're expanding to areas that aren't typically known for hockey, like Canada, like the North. And also in the upcoming year after that, 2018-2019, Michigan Dearborn is going to be added to the league. And something the league's trying to do is add women's teams to schools that already have developed men's teams, just to add that. So the school already has a men's hockey program, so adding women just makes sense.
Absolutely. And Pat, what about you?
I think it's also good because, like, when you get bigger name schools, such as you just said, on Arizona State, that's not a hot commodity as far as hockey goes, but it is a hot commodity more so because of the fact that it's a big name school and people know the brand of Arizona State. Same thing with Grand Canyon when you go out west. That's more of a bigger brand too. And then adding Michigan Dearborn, that's actually becoming more and more well known, especially when it comes to the hockey realm. So I think when you start adding not only more schools to just the numbers in Division I women, it's good, but even more so, it's just good for the league, especially in particular when you're adding more well-known established schools, because a lot of people still, ACHA is kind of hockey's best unknown secret, as far as it allows a lot of good collegiate play, and a lot of top quality athletes come here to play hockey over the course of the 4 years at all 5 levels that we have, and a lot of people don't know about. So when you get those big name schools, it just adds more exposure to the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, there's certainly plenty of talent also in the ACHA. I'm sure we're all aware of that. But who are your guys' top players, top forwards, defensive players, goalies for this year?
Well, I'm going to start with my forward to watch, Alyssa Vasali from Miami. She was first team all-tournament MVP, as we already said, and she played on Team USA in Kazakhstan representing Team USA, so she has plenty of experience and skill. She's going to have a lot of pressure on her to lead that Miami team, as I said, because there are a lot of people who are leaving, so she's going to have to step up, lead those forwards offensively, and, yeah, just try to get them back to where they were last season.
And Pat, what about you?
Well, I mean, you take a look at the list. I mean, all these girls are very capable, even some girls that aren't even mentioned on the list right now. But I'm going to go with a name that we've mentioned on the show. We mentioned her last year. Actually, she was Monica's player to watch last year. And Brittany Lazzelli, like this girl, she led the league again in scoring, and I think that's huge. She's been a two-time All-American. And in 2016, she was the player of the year. She was the Zoe Harris Award winner, as it was won by Miami, Ohio's Kaylee Mooney this past season. So I think she's going to get back to that championship form. She's going to be huge for the Minute Women and leading them not only back to the national tournament, but watch out, ladies. She's going to help make some noise for the Minute Women.
What about your guys' defensive players?
Well, I'm going to go with CJ Tipping from Liberty. She was first team All-Tournament and second team All-American. She's definitely a strong defensive player. She is a veteran on the team, and when Liberty won that national championship title, she was on the team as well as Courtney Gilmore and Chelsea Greenwood. Those are the only three who are currently playing who were on that team. So there's obviously a lot of pressure on them to get them back to where they were. They know what it's like to win, so they have the experience necessary to get Liberty back there once more.
Yeah, I think for my defensive player to watch, it's got to be Becca Sinden. I mean, I got to watch her play against Liberty. This girl was a monster from the back end. She had a nice clapper and really kept Minnesota into this game and really almost led them to an upset over Liberty in that best-of-3 series in round one. So definitely looking for her to lead the Gophers again. Not only have a good season, but more so lead them back to the national tournament.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we can't forget about the goalies.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Lauren Allen from Grand Valley, you know, my team. She also represented Team USA in the World University Games in Kazakhstan. She was amazing there. She only played one game because of altitude sickness, but she had the opportunity to go there to represent her team and her country. She's just really strong in net. On any given night, she can be the top goaltender in the league. So if she performs that way, I think it's going to be a lot on her shoulders whether or not the team is able to move up in the rankings and, you know, perform well this season.
And for me, I know you like Lauren Allen, but I got to go with Amber Green. Coach Wright was raving about this girl all last season, and he had good reason why to rave about her coming into this year. I mean, this girl is in the top 3 in wins, goals against average, and she was number 1 in save percentage, saving over 95% of the pucks that she came across. So you got to be looking at her definitely to be one of the goalies to watch this coming season.
And Pat, I know you have all the details. Which women are moving upward out of the ACHA?
Well, I think the beauty about the ACHA, last couple of years, they've been able to expand more so into 2 adult leagues, into the NWHL and also the CWHL. And you've kind of seen a lot of growth and a lot of different women being able to find their way and be able to continue playing at the next level if they want to. The latest woman to join is Cassie Doon. She played at Penn State. She was a fantastic player for the Lions and did an excellent job. She's joining the likes of Paige Harrington, as you see right there. Actually, Paige Harrington helped lead the Boston Pride to a championship this past season, so that's huge. And then also, you even take a look on the CWHL. Haley Williams, 2-time winner of the Zoe Harris Award. She's been doing well. She also spent a stint in the NWHL. And then Liberty's very own Sarah Stevens did an excellent job. Stevenson did an excellent job. She's the highest drafted player in the CWHL coming out of the ACHA. Had a phenomenal year in the one season she played with them, but definitely a lot of growth and I think a lot of opportunity allowing ladies to be able to continue playing in their hockey career should they choose.
Absolutely. And guys, no pun intended, but the grand finale is our season 4 final picks. Monica, who are yours?
All right, so starting off, I think Liberty is going to make it to the Final Four. I think they're going to go all the way and actually win the national championship. That's my bold prediction. And then Adrian, they're returning 4 of their top 6 scorers, so I think they have a really great shot at making it back there. Grand Valley, they weren't there last season, but I think they will have a chance to get there this year with their goaltending, as I said, Lauren Allen. And then Miami, Ohio, I think they have the experience and they also have the pressure put on them to perform. And yeah, they're just expected to be back there. So I think it's kind of a bold prediction having them in the number 4 spot.
Oh, that's a good Final Four. But everyone needs to look at that left side right there. Patrick right there. That's the Final Four you need to be paying attention to. I like Liberty right there at number 1. Obviously, they came in number 1 for a reason. Turn a lot of depth, a lot of scoring. This is a team that you got to be looking out for. UMass, the Minute Women, they're definitely going to be able to do it. 2 of my players to watch are on this team, so that's why you got to watch the Minute Women. I've been talking about Adrian returning the most All-Americans, and then also, so that's why they're going to be solid. But Lindenwood Belleville, this team has returners on top of returners, experience on top of experience. You got to be watching out for the Lady Lynx as well. They're definitely going to be in the Final Four, too.
Absolutely. I think that Liberty is going to want to win really, really badly, especially after being beaten by Miami, Ohio last season. But also I put UMass as number 4 because they're ranked as number 5 right now. So I wanted to kind of put them in the mix a little bit. Maybe they'll rise up. I don't know. We have to wait and see, Pat. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our preseason ACHA Women's Hockey season show. We'll see you guys next time.